What exactly is ISO 27001 certification?
ISO 27001, Nicola, is the information security standard, okay? Very similar at the outset of 9001 as far as how it follows the spine of what's required. However, it has a particular annex called Annex A, which is the big trip over for a lot of businesses. The standard itself is to, reduce risk, secure the business, looking at intellectual property, making sure that you secure that, anything internally, externally from the business to ensure that you are completely secure, including things like GDPR. It goes through the whole process of analysing the whole of the company's assets, laptops, PCs, how you externally work within the cloud, to ensure that everything is nailed down to ensure that you are secure. So there's a lot of policies, procedures and process flows in place to make sure the company are following these things, like bring your own device. There is a policy put in place for that, as a little example. The thing that trips a lot of companies up is Annex A. There's 130 odd documents, and trust me, Nicola, most of those documents aren't required by most businesses, but they have to be there because the standard is set out with clauses, sub-clauses, etc., which you need to adhere to. So you need to have something in place, even though it might not be relevant.
What kind of companies is ISO 27001 suitable for?
Any company that currently is dealing with the public sector, and I'll bring into play now the NHS. The NHS of late seem to be making a prerequisite. You must have 27001. So there appears now to be an awful lot of inquiry and information coming around about the NHS requiring this for obvious reasons, so that they're making sure that people are secure with when they're sending data around, and it gives them that confidence. So absolutely yes, the commercial sector is also getting up to speed with that, but the public sector is the one that's driving the 27001 standard, because there are other certifications out there for GDPR, but they're not as secure or as recognised as ISO 27. So ISO 27001 is the top, and the others seem to fall below, but the NHS are really picking up on that.
How long does ISO 27001 certification take to achieve?
Typically if you're going to do it yourself, it really depends on your skill sets and information that you have to hand and the experienced individuals. Many occasions, I mention it again, Annex A. That is, as I say, 130 odd documents long, and that's where people fall over, because they produce documents for themselves which are relevant to the organisation, which is absolutely fine, but they forget that they still need these other documents that aren't relevant to the organisation to satisfy the standard. So, as far as the timeline goes, again, it's about 6 to 8 weeks where you do the core part of the standard, but there's a particular document called the Statement of Applicability, and that's the one that looks at Annex A. Okay, so that really is the one that would take the time. So I'd say 6 to 8 weeks to get to a stage 1 position where you could be comfortable to go, okay, we're in a place. Certainly with the help from compliant, that is an absolute definite. And then between stage 1 and stage 2 is a maximum of 3 months anyway. And in that time, you would tailor, embed, and make sure that you have everything lined up. And the relevant documents from the Statement of Applicability that's related to the Annex A are there for your organisation, which you can then start to embed. And I've mentioned in the past to you that also that the certification bodies understand that any management system that's is at its infancy, and they would expect to see it then implemented and embedded fully within the organisation after the stage 2 certification process. So I hope that helps. ISO 27001 is all about making sure that businesses are legally compliant, okay? And GDPR is just a part of that process. So really, the 27001 is GDPR plus, okay? As far as making sure that the company will look at every single aspect. GDPR is just one aspect of 27001. As mentioned earlier, there are so many other areas that it does look at to ensure that companies keep. It's all about risk-based thinking, okay? Making sure you mitigate and minimise the risk to your organisation from both within and externally. It's a two-stage process, okay? If you're going to go yourself and try and implement it, then that's going to be the cost to the company, and that'll be as long as it takes. If you took the service of someone like Compliant, okay, we obviously are aware of what the management system needs to be, with the documentation involved in that, so we can actually bespoke that. So the second part of that is you have your management system, and then it has to be certified by an accredited certified body. They go through a process where they will look at the company, the size, the risk, how many employees, etc., and they will give a cost. That is something we can't answer. The one thing I can answer is that we deal with certain certification bodies where we get very good preferential rates, better than someone cold going to a CB. So I'd recommend come to us first to get a price, if anything else. Our pricing is led really by the certification body, because it's all about number of days. I mentioned to you earlier about stage 1 and stage 2, so hypothetically if it's a 1-day stage 1 and maybe a 2 or 3 day stage 2, bear in mind a 27,000 one's quite a hefty standard, then we have to cover those 4 days, okay? And then the production of the management system. But what we can do to help clients like the certification bodies is we can offer a deposit, a small deposit to start with, and interest-free payments, and we go up to 12 months in total as an organisation, and that really takes away that worry of paying for everything up front, and then you can see the progress of your management system whilst you're paying small amounts of money going forward. So that really helps, and plus there are grants available as well out there that could help companies, and we'll certainly help where we can. And it's all about giving anybody who's asking to go to tender the confidence that you have assessed your organisation to make sure that they are information, IP-wise secure, so when they're dealing with you, they know they're dealing with a company that has all of the processes, policies and regulations in place to ensure that they're dealing with a company that are completely secure. So it wins tenders hands over fist, and it's a massive investment into the tender process.
Why not benefit from ISO certification? Visit compliantfm.com today.